Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session with Accent Realty, powered by Accent Radio. I am your host, Adiola, and it's good to be back for another exciting session. And I hope we're all doing well. I hope we're having a great day. Work is not too stressful, and I hope most especially that we're all ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn something new. So, welcome today. So, last week we spoke about the issues that have arisen from not getting a building permit before commencing or developing a building, and we gave an example of buildings along Ibejuleki axis where a number of people, a number of landlords are going to be or would probably become tenants because their land, developments, their buildings might be subject to demolition because they did not take the necessary step by obtaining a building permit before going ahead to construct their buildings. So that was basically what we discussed last week, and we spoke about the importance of building permits as to why you should obtain a building permit before going about any development on your land. We also said some of the things that could happen if you do not obtain a building permit. So that was basically all that we did, that we spoke on last week. And if you did not watch that video, you can go back to just refresh your memory, or you can also watch after this video because it will give you an insight into what we're going to be discussing today. So back to today's discussion. So today we are going to be discussing the navigation of obtaining the process of obtaining your building permit. But before we go into that, in regards to our last week discussion, I have good news for people or persons who might be victims of the issue of not obtaining a building permit before constructing their building, especially in the Ibejuleki area. The good news is that the government has given a 3 month window for you to regularize, for you to obtain your building permit. That's 3 months, and that period means that you can go ahead to submit your documents and then apply for building permit even though your buildings have already been constructed. And this amnesty period it started from 2nd of May, that's 2nd of this month, and will be ending on 30th of July. So that means you have that between this time to 30th of July to actually apply for your building permit even though your building has been developed already. And that means that you have to submit relevant documents to authorized agencies, just like the Lagos State Planning, Lagos State Physical Planning Agency, Permit Authority. And some of the documents that you would also have to, that you require to submit, is first your title document. If you are new to this space, you might not really understand what we mean by the title document, but what we mean by title document is the document that shows proof of ownership that you own a property. It could be your C of O, it could be governor's consent, the registered conveyance, just a document that shows proof that you own that property. So that's the first document that you will also be required to submit. You also have to submit architectural drawings. That is the architectural drawing for the building that you have already developed, because we all need what we're going for is building approval. So you have to have the architectural drawings of that building, then structural, electrical, and mechanical drawing where applicable, then the non-destructive integrity test report, and this is it could also be NDI, whatever you would like to call it, but it's non-destructive integrity test report. And this report just would show if there are any structural defects to the building and if it's safe, basically. So you also have to submit that report. You also have to submit letter of structural stability or indemnity, whichever is applicable for you. And this is just to, this satisfies the stability of the building, that is the structure which you have erected. Another thing that you would also have to submit is the land use planning analysis reports, and then you also have to submit your evidence of tax compliance. So if you have these documents, you can go ahead to submit them and apply for a building permit. But if you do not have these documents, I advise that you already process every necessary document that you need and submit it before the window closes, because after this window closes, it means that there will be penalties on persons who have buildings without building permits. So with that being said, now let's go into another level for people or persons who have not constructed they've not constructed their buildings, or they've not made their developments yet, but intend to make buildings developments. Here we're going to talk about the process, and I'm going to break it down into stages for you to apply for your building permit. Like I said in the last video, every construction, every development on land requires a building permit, whether if it's a fence, or if you want to demolish, or you want to add an extra floor to an existing building, you need to take permits. And so now let's go into the steps that you have to do. The first one is the pre-application stage. This is the stage before actually applying, and in this stage what you really have to do is to do your research and consultation. You have to do your research to know the zoning regulations in that area, to know the urban rules and development guidelines in that area, and also consultation. This is the stage where you actually consult architects or urban planners, just for them to be able to guide you to know if the structure that you intend to put on in that particular area is allowed, first of all, in that area, and if it goes with the government's zoning plans and codes in that area. Then the next stage after that is the documentation preparation. This is where you have to prepare your documents, all necessary documents, some which I already earlier stated, like the architectural drawing of that building. This is where you have to also ask for registered, or you have to ask for licensed architects to help you in drawing out the architectural drawing for that building, as well as your survey plan. So your survey plan is like a map that draws out your the land, that states the dimensions, that states the boundaries, and where your land starts and where your land stops. So you have to have that as well. That should be also done by a licensed surveyor. You also have to prepare your title document if you have a deed of assignment that is not registered. At that point you have to register that deed of assignment and obtain governor's consent, or anything that you knew at that stage you require for your title document to actually be valid and recognized by law. You also have to prepare your tax clearance, as well as other documents that you would actually have to do. So at that stage, that is where you prepare all these documents. So once you do that, the next stage is actually submitting, and the government has made it easier for you to submit on the online platform of the electronic planning permit platform. That's where you can fill the forms, the relevant forms that you fill on the platform, and then you submit all those documents that I earlier mentioned, as well as some other documents that you might be required to submit. You could also make a physical submission as well, and then once you make your submission and then you pay for the relevant fees, there will be an assessment and site inspection. This is where officials will come in to investigate, to inspect the site and know if the plans actually if the documents that you've submitted actually correlate with what is on ground. So once that is done and then fees have been paid, then a period of space for them to approve your building permit. And well, there are circumstances to where your building permit might not be approved, but that will be for another day. So basically, these are the stages that you have to go through. First stage, like I said, is the pre-application stage, which is where you have to do your research and do your consultation to know the necessary things that you need to have, to know the necessary zoning regulations in that area. Then you prepare your documents, your architectural drawings, your survey plan, your title documents, tax clearance. The next thing is to submit your application on the online platform, which the government has made easier for us. And then you also have to pay relevant fees, and once this is done, then the officials are invited over for site inspection and assessment. And once this is done, your building permit would be approved, and in some instances will be disapproved. So this is basically the steps to take when you want to apply for a building permit. So I hope you all understand now how relevant it is to have a building permit, and now know that if you are a victim or a person who has a building without a building permit, you have the space between now and 30th of July to make things right by applying for your building permit. I hope we've all been able to learn something today, and if you have, please try and share this video with your colleagues, with your friends, so that they are aware of these things as well. And I hope to see you same time, same place next week. Have